The elections were a culmination of a series of activities in the last few years to engender citizens' participation in determining who their leaders are. To a large extent, we delivered on that, our human imperfections and limitations notwithstanding. Today, the train will move away from our station to allow other agencies play their parts while we focus on other things in strengthening democracy. Much has been said about Nigeria's continued stride down the democracy alley these past 24 years. No doubt it has sometimes been turbulent, if not topsy-turvy, rather than a smooth walk or ride. But there have been some good times and experiences along this journey, especially the uninterrupted nature of this trip in the nearly 24 years we've been on it. The implication is that in the last two cycles of election, 2019 and 2023, the country has recorded a large number of voters whose life experiences are happily limited only to a government by elected representatives, which is what democracy represents. Thus, democracy has become a norm in our country. That in itself is something to celebrate and build upon. How do we build upon this democracy? The easiest way is to expand the number of Democrats within our democracy, and that includes the number of Democrats within the political parties. Sadly, there are too few Democrats within the political class. The building block for democracy is not only in the large number of participants, but ensuring that these participants fully understand and imbibe the principles of democracy. Some of these principles are citizens' participation, equality of persons, transparency, accountability, political tolerance, and checks and balances. Participation of citizens in democracy goes beyond participating in the electoral process. It extends to their involvement in the governance process. This means that citizens must be consulted regularly by those in government, and their interests should be paramount when policies and laws are made. Now it is important because we are addressing members-elect who would be involved in making laws. Even in their participation in the electoral process, their security and safety must be guaranteed. We just came out of an election where for some voters, their safety and security were not guaranteed because of the attitude of many in the political class. That is why it is reprehensible when political actors deploy violence and intimidation during election in order to achieve their ambitions. It is important to charge members-elect into the State House of Assembly to understand that when they sit at the table of governance, they are there not in their personal capacities, but as representatives of their entire constituencies, with all the diversities, such as gender, age, ethnicity, religion, political leanings that exist in your constituencies. This is how to recognize and practice the principle of equality for all. Lawmakers and politicians generally need to rise above blind allegiance to political parties whose membership in our climes is very fluid, transient, and without core values and principles. That is why if we ask any of the members-elect here to tell us the political party they belong to now, and tell us the political party they belong to in the last 5 years, you'll find out that most of them have crossed different boundaries of political parties. It shows that membership of political party is very fluid, with very little attached to principles and core values. They should equally raise their game above the politics of allegiance to persons and other interests who may influence them to act even against the interests of their constituencies, the state, or the country. The existence of a parliament is what sets democracy apart from non-democratic systems of government. And the central role of the parliament is to serve as checks and balances to the other arms of government, namely the executive and the judiciary. It is hoped that those elected into the upcoming parliament have a clear understanding of this as a building block to democracy. The electoral umpire is also key in building and deepening democracy. On the part of INEC, we keep learning from our experiences and shortcomings and improving on our processes with every election. It is hoped that our political class also helps to strengthen the independence and capabilities of the State Independent Electoral Commission. Too often when we talk about election umpires in Nigeria, everybody focuses on INEC. How much have we done to focus on the State Independent Electoral Commissions? And it is your responsibilities when you become members of the House of Assembly to strengthen the State Independent Electoral Commission, because it is their responsibility to conduct local government elections which help to create grassroots democrats. We are talking about expanding the number of democrats in a democracy. You can only have that if we have proper elections at every level. Not that everybody thinks it's only INEC that should do the right thing, and when it comes to local government election, anything goes. It is equally important for the political class to work on the capacity and integrity of political parties to conduct their internal elections, primaries. Most political parties have failed woefully in the proper conduct of primaries, and we know this. If we don't conduct primaries properly, it will affect the quality of democracy we have. 24 years into our current democratic journey, it is time for us to build, raise, and equip more Democrats to keep democracy going. True Democrats are those who recognize that while everybody must be heard, the majority will often determine the way to go, and that election is not a do or die or win at all cost. True Democrats also realize that in a multi-party election, there is a higher chance of losing than winning the election, and they must prepare their minds to such possibilities and live with the outcome. But where they disagree with the outcome, they must follow the proper channel for seeking redress. We should not pull down everything, including the institutions and structures of democracy, simply because the outcome is different from our expectations. True Democrats look for legitimate ways to expand the frontiers of democracy. They do so by building on the good that exists, rather than destroy the fabrics. Let us learn to build up and not destroy.
They give me certificate of return. Now, long journey, we thank God for everything. And I want to thank people of Ikpoba for giving me the opportunity to represent them. And I assure them that I will not let them down. They will have able representation from me. And I'll put in my best to bring development to Ikpoba constituency. Thank you and God bless you all.